Leasing. There are all kinds of forms available. The probably most common one talked about across the country is the Producer's 88. No matter what anybody tells you, and again, not to disparage any landman anywhere, but no matter what they tell you, there is no such thing as a standard lease form. Everything's negotiable, basically. But there is no standard lease form. The oil and gas lease is the basic instrument in the oil and gas development. It's a legal instrument executed by the mineral owner granting the exclusive right to another to explore, drill, produce the oil and gas from their piece of land. It is a legally binding contract. When you sign that lease agreement, remember my remarks earlier about the folks in New York State. They signed a lease agreement. This is deeded mineral property that they signed the rights away to, and they claimed months later that they didn't know what they were doing. So this is a legal document. Be sure you understand that. In the negotiations, do the best you can to get the best deal possible. You're going to negotiate for the bonus amount, the royalty rate, the term in years, the primary term, and you're also going to negotiate your royalty payments. Talk about this a little bit. And outside of your name and the legal location on the top of that lease, everything else in that lease is negotiable. I mean, basically everything on that lease can be negotiated to your benefit or to your detriment. Okay, the lease bonus. There's a retained fraction, the royalty rate, and there's a number of years, the primary term to develop a property. We'll talk about these a little bit. The lease bonus. It's paid when you sign the lease and it's executed. And as soon as you sign that lease, more than likely the company or the landman that has taken that lease with you is going to run down to the county courthouse and file it, so it's going to be of record. All right? So you want to be sure that you've been paid your bonus money up front when that occurs. And an example of what this might mean, if you had 10 net mineral acres and the offer was $50 an acre for you to sign the lease, that's your signing bonus, you're going to get $500. The retained fraction or the royalty rate and what that means to you. Again, it is going to be negotiated in the lease. It's usually expressed in a fraction, so 3/16. And if it's this example of 10 net mineral acres and 3/16, if it's an 80-acre unit, then this is your royalty interest, 0.02343. And again, we're going to show you how to make that calculation in just a few minutes. But understand, you negotiate that rate to be as high as you can get it. Some places now around the country, in some of these shale plays, the royalty rates are being negotiated up to 25%. So that's a good thing. The term in years, the primary term on a lease, usually about 3 years. Sometimes it'll be 5. That is the amount of time allowed that you're allowing the company in signing that lease, giving them, let's say, 3 years to start drilling a well. And at the end of that term, that your lease reverts back to you and you can go lease it to someone else if you want. Now, there's usually a secondary term as well that's negotiated as part of that. The company will say, you know, we want a 3-year primary and a 2-year option at the end of that. So they'll come back to you and say, we'll release you for another 2 years at our original terms. So understand when you're signing that lease, if it is a 5-year primary with a 5-year option, basically you've just handed over your property for 10 years for a company to maybe sit on for 10 years. They don't have to drill a well. So that's very important to understand the term length that you've signed on that lease agreement.